Okay, cool. So I'm Rebecca Wright. I'm the Acting Director of Career Development. This event is called How'd You Get That Internship? It's a panel of students who are going to talk to you about their internships, hopefully share some wisdom about their experience that will hopefully be helpful to you all if you're looking to do an internship. I have my colleagues here, Ben Benson, Student Outreach Program Manager, who's here, and then Matt Gatterman, who is also here, who will be monitoring the online audience. And so if you're online and you have questions, feel free to put them in chat. We'll try and get to questions at the end. I'm going to start this with a casual conversation with our panelists, and then we will have time towards the end where if you guys have follow-up questions, we will open that up to you all as well, either if you're here in person or if you're online. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Our first panelist is virtual online, live from Paris, France. This is Aaron, is it Almeida?
Almeida, yeah.
Almeida, yeah, just making sure I say that right. Communication design, class of 2027. He completed 2 internships, a graphic design internship with the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, working on graphic needs for spaces in the museum, and then he did a second internship with Card Vault by Tom Brady, working on outward-facing digital print and design. So that is Aaron. Our next panelist in order is Sophia Phillip, illustration 27. She did an internship with Starbright Books, a children's book publisher, where she learned about what it takes to get a book published. So she's going to talk more about that. Next to her is Zan Argueta, who did an internship with Modular Studios. She is photo and sim double major, class of 28. She interned in a photo studio with creative director for editorial and fashion, and we'll talk more about that. On the end is Kylie Perillo, photo, class of 26. She did an internship with Jess Biancardi, a wedding photographer, where she worked as second photographer, sometimes lead photographer, and did some styling, and learned about a small business. So that's kind of a quick rundown of their internships. So my first question is to just have them in their own words talk about their internship or internships plural. So Aaron, can you tell me about your internships?
Yeah, of course. So, my first internship was with the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, and I did a lot of exhibition design. So it's basically like imagining what the gallery space, anything regarding design, would be for the actual fine arts pieces. And it's kind of like a brand system in a way, but it's kind of like a concept development regarding the fine arts pieces. So allowing kind of the gallery and working with curators, and it was very like process heavy with a lot of critique from a lot of people a lot older than me, a lot of people that know a lot about fine arts. So it's a very intimidating space, but definitely learned a lot about in a very unique way of going like about a brand identity system, if that makes sense. And for my second internship, I interned at Card Vault by Tom Brady, which is in Boston as well. It's under the parent company Big Night Entertainment. It was more of like, on the contrary, like a fast-paced environment. They do a lot of like nightlife design as well. So it's a very young group of people. I thought the contrast between these 2 internships is very interesting, but I was doing a lot of sports outward-facing advertising, a lot on the website when it came to the first national sports trading card memorabilia company. And it was quite a new company when I hopped on. So it was interesting to be a part of like the overall build and gradual growth of the company itself.
Cool, thank you. So for our in-person panelists, starting with Sophia, going that way, tell me about your internships.
Yeah, so I interned at Starbright Books, which is a small children's book publisher here in Boston, specifically in Cambridge. And my main role was actually a bit of a mixed bag, considering this was such a small company. A lot of people did a little bit of everything. So while I did primarily work with the art director to look at incoming illustrators, to read manuscripts that were coming in and judging them, either saying yes or no and what went into that. I also was heavily ingrained with organizing metadata, which if you don't know what that is, it is the kind of strange text when you first open a book. That's like the copyright information, the publicist, when it was published, et cetera, as well as some marketing stuff. And I actually had the pleasure of making some animations for their social media.
Cool. So Zan, if you talk a little bit about your internship.
Yes. Hi, I'm Zan. I use they pronouns. And my internship was at Modular Studios in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And it's in the name, modular. It's a space where mainly it started as a photo studio, but it can transform into any type of space, like a venue or for video and or for events. And I worked with the four creators of the space, and each one has a different discipline, such as like sewing, creative directing, DJing, social justice, photography, event making, all the sorts. And it was just an opportunity to get my hands in what every single person gets to do in their individual work, and also just like having to repaint the site wall, or some days having to meet with certain new artists looking to close.
So I'm Kylie. I internshipped over the summer with Jess Biancardi, who is a Mass Art alum, and she has a photography company that is primarily just her. She'll bring in second shooters for every wedding event, where I would be acting as like kind of like the third shooter and her assistant for weddings. But she was really wonderful and really like facilitated such a great like teaching environment. Like she really did want to teach me things. So there were shoots where like I would design couple shoots and she would like send out calls for couples, and then I would get to act as the lead photographer for a couple shoot here and there all throughout the internship. And I also would get to sit in on client calls and deal directly with like sending like them gifts and doing some back-end emailing. And she really cued me in on like a lot of like the financial parts of like what it's like to be a creative small business functioning, especially with so much time at home doing work and not so much time out in the field doing work, and how to price things and how all of that kind of works out.
Cool. Thank you. So my next question is going to be sort of the idea of where this panel came from is, how did you all get your internship? And I know you all got your internships in different ways, but I'm just kind of curious about how you got it. What was the application process like? What did that look like? And just curious to see the different kind of journeys you each had. So we'll kind of go in the same order. We'll start with Aaron.
Yeah, so I did the classic meander handshake. I feel like I talked to a lot of people and they aren't really big fans of handshake, but I've had a lot of good interactions and conversations with employers on there. I think a big thing that comes to mind when it comes to handshake is there's a lot of like, we're looking for someone going into their senior year, or we're looking for someone graduating in 2026 or something of that nature. And I think for me, I kind of just disregarded it and applied to everything. I applied to over 50 internships after my sophomore year, and I felt like it was something I didn't want to self-reject myself because of a requirement. I didn't want to self-reject myself if I didn't feel like I was ready. I kind of just went in on everything. I felt like a lot of good practice when it came to talking to these employers as well was just sending cold emails. I reached out to companies that I liked and sent them an email, asked them to just get a coffee. And something as simple as that, just kind of getting your foot in the door within conversation, felt extremely useful for me. But yeah, handshake is the way for me, honestly.
Did anyone take you up on coffee?
Yeah, honestly, I met with the assistant art director at the MFA, Nick Pioja, before I got the internship, and kind of knowing him as a person and kind of on that, just hey, we just had a coffee, like person to person, just kind of as people, made me feel a lot more comfortable going into the actual interview process.
Cool, thank you. Sophia?
Yeah, I also did a lot of cold emailing and cold calling. Specifically for Starbright, it was a cold email, but I did contact a bunch of other publishers in Boston and in New York as well, specifically towards children's books because that's what I'm interested in. But yeah, don't be afraid to cold email or cold call. Very often, when a website has, or what I found rather, is when a website has this application form, it kind of gets lost in the sea of a million other application forms. So it really is a good look on you to physically reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in this company, I'm interested in this position, and asking to grab a coffee or asking to set up a FaceTime call or a phone call to discuss further is really important.
Cool, thank you. Zam?
I personally like to do an in-person approach. I am not the greatest with the tech savviness, even though I'm 21, and I do it in a way that I think about like what are places that I dream to work at, and then how can I scale them down? What do they look like at where I am right now on my skill level? And my approach is always to like do it to my interest. So I would like to work with organizations who put social justice at the forefront. I like to work with organizations that put art and youth at the forefront. And so I work in that network, and I work on a local level in my own city, and then I work on a bigger level here in Boston and in the greater Boston area. And for this particular internship, I was able to get it through, I would say, like networking in a sense. I am a board member at Elevated Thought, an organization that's a nonprofit that like works with youth and art and social justice. And so this space, Modular Studios, was being built next door, and like my mentor was part of it. So I was like, hey, you guys don't have this role, or like, have you thought about having this role? And I can do it for free. Like, I'll just sit in your conversations. I'll just be a fly on the wall, whatever I can do. And like, if it could be like from a small capacity to a bigger capacity. And I asked that of many organizations. I asked, what can I help with? If it's just putting up some flyers, let me start there. So that's how I would say that even if there's not a position yet, ask if they're willing to make a position.
Yeah, so I also did not get my internship through Handshake. I tried, I was looking through some things, and just a lot of what I could find through there wasn't what I wanted out of an internship. Like, it was a lot of museum roles, which would be great, but I really wanted to see if I could get a gig like working with a photographer and watch them work and see how that kind of plays out. So I was like constantly asking around the photo department. And luckily, there was an alumni who had reached out to one of our studio managers. I was like, I'm looking to like maybe start an internship program. Like, if anybody's interested, like, have them email me. So I ended up being her first internship that she's ever run through her business. And it was just a really great time. Like, we connected over the fact that we had both been to Mass Art, that we knew some of the same people, and it was just a great entrance into that world. And even some of her second photographers ended up being Mass Art alums. So I think looking to alumni and looking at like who's been here and who do you have that connection with is something that's really going to work in your favor.
Cool, thank you. So I'm going to ask a few more kind of related questions for each of you. A little bit like, some of you talked about how you applied, but I'm curious, like, did you use a resume, a cover letter? Was there an interview? Just talk about like the process of kind of getting prepared and then kind of going after an internship. And we'll start with Erin.
Yeah, so it was the standard resume, cover letter, and portfolio. I think a big tip for me that usually allows communication designers to stand out during the application process is a well-designed resume, kind of thinking about the things that you don't think would have to be designed, just kind of go in and design them as well. Think about the grid structure, think about the tiny typographic details in regards to that, because the employers are going to be paying attention to those things as well. Um, I feel like for me, the cover letter was an important part of it. I didn't want it to just kind of feel cliche. I wanted to kind of be more personal about it. I talked about more like my story growing up and my relationship with museums, at least for the MFA one. Uh, Kind of growing up around a museum and how large it felt when I was a kid, and kind of being a little bit more symbolic with my own story rather than just being like, "Hey, I really want to work here." I feel like kind of bringing in my own love for where we're actually going to be working in the space itself felt really useful as well.
Cool, thank you. Sophia?
Yeah, my method of application was a lot of the same, actually. It was pretty much standard portfolio, resume, cover letter. I will say that when I was reaching out through cold emailing and cold calling, Starbright Books did respond, and they were like, "We'd love an intern. Please come intern with us." So they were already very excited about welcoming in an intern. And I will say I was nervous going in, submitting my portfolio and my resume, because there's always that doubt that, oh, what if it's not good enough? But I think the real quote unquote selling point for me was actually doing a phone call interview with them, so I could talk to them one-on-one about my passion revolving around children's books, children's literature, the actual knowledge I already possess on children's books and children's literature, not only how a book is made, but also what goes into selling a book, and how much of a desire I have to learn more about that. That was really a key component for my application, was the interview.
Thanks. Sam?
I would say my like deal, like almost for, like I mentioned, I'm not really tech savvy, so I have to do things in person, and I just show up. I, for real, just show up, like, and sometimes it can lead to like a gallery with other photographers, or like a gala I heard about that, like it's like a $15 entry, and it's gonna be like a bunch of like Boston like teachers or poets, or like at the for this particular internship for this particular internship, like I just kept showing up to the events. Like they were hosting events that were trying to host community locally and bring in other artists and other leaders from like other brands and companies in the Boston area and the Lawrence area. And I just made myself like available. Like, hey, if I already like show up to these events, I can also show up to like help host these events, or I can just hang around. Like if you just hang around and they're like, oh, can I jump in on this conversation and hear what it's about? Like I'm always around. Like people, I think, gain trust, and people see familiar face. And sometimes I've gone to, like as a board member, I've gone to like board member events with like from other organizations, and it's a bunch of old people. And I'm like the youngest person in the room, and sometimes it's awkward as heck, okay? But I just linger around, I eat a little carrot, and I try to like chalk up some conversation with somebody, and hope that like they can tell me, oh, you're into this? You should go talk to somebody, so-and-so. And that's how I've made my way around.
Yeah, I ended up emailing Jess about the position that she was looking to fill, like kind of very like cover lettery email. Like I basically, the email was my cover letter, sent that out to her with like my resume attached, and also inquired if she wanted to see like some images, just because I didn't want to like reach out first right off the bat and like give her everything and like kind of overwhelm her. So I kind of like just reached out, inquired, looked if she was like still looking for somebody, and kind of just opened that line of communication. And she asked to see my portfolio, sent her a couple images. And then it kind of came down to like the phone call, like can we work together? Are we compatible? Is this gonna be a good fit for her and me? And it honestly like kind of just sealed the deal, like the phone call and like being in person and talking to somebody like a real human is kind of like your way in, like honestly.
Cool, thank you. So my next question, I'm going to open to whoever feels like they can answer this. So were there other internships you applied for or interviewed for that maybe you did not pick or did not get offered? Just tell me about if there are other kind of opportunities on your radar when you were searching for an internship. So anyone can jump in on this. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I probably applied to every single children's book publisher in Boston that I could have, or asked to apply rather. And while I would have greatly appreciated attending some of the bigger publishers, specifically I think one of the biggest publishers here in Boston is Candlewick. There's also MIT Press for Kids and Barefoot Books, so on and so forth, that I would have loved to intern for. But when it came to Starbright, because they were so small, I feel like that was a great sort of opening internship for me. So yeah, I did a lot of applying, but I'm still pretty happy with what I got.
Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, I was looking at a couple different internships. A lot of what I could find on Handshake, which is where I like started my search, were a lot of like work at museums, like more on the curatorial end of photography, which I definitely like was applying to these and was, hoping for anything. But I was like still like really on the hunt for something where I could work with a photographer and watch them work. That was like what I wanted out of my internship. And I'm really glad that I applied everywhere because it got my application materials into like really great format. I was really like kind of just like not expecting anything, which was kind of nice in retrospect. But yeah, like I think hunkering down and like deciding what specifically you would like out of an internship and like casting your net a bit wider than that is like the best way to go about things.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would say 100% don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Like, don't attach your identity to just one of these opportunities. And honestly, I had a fear of rejection before applying to internships, and after applying to probably over 50 internships at once and getting mostly no's and some no responses, definitely loosened that part of myself for sure. Just being prepared to be rejected, but also being okay with that because sometimes it just doesn't align and you kind of just have to move on, kind of take it on the chin and go on to the next.
Low expectations and casting a wide net is a very good mindset to have.
Yeah, I would say similarly, like I try to do like when I find like my target thing, like okay, I have my target goals, I have something that I just be okay with, like maybe for money or for like something I've already done, and then I have something that like I'm like, oh, that's something nice. And sometimes I'm in a room with somebody and I'm like, oh, who's here? Oh, I have to meet them. Or I'll go into a room I'm not supposed to, and I'll just be like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And do you need an internship? Like, do you need an apprentice? Like, an intern? And sometimes we're like, no, I already have one. And I'm just like, well, okay, I gotta move on. That type of thing.
Cool. So I want to talk a little bit more about the internship experience. And again, anyone can jump in on this. Is there anything from your internship that kind of surprised you that you didn't expect to learn, that you liked, didn't like? I'm just kind of curious about what surprises happened when you actually got into the internship.
Yeah, I guess what shocked me initially, and I touched upon this in my little intro portion as well, was, again, because this was such a small company, everyone was doing a little bit of everything. That meant I was doing a little bit of everything. So a lot of what I was doing, or not a lot, but about half of what I was doing was not necessarily art focused, but even though it wasn't art focused, it was still really educational when it came to learning about the process of how a children's book comes, like shows up on shelves. When it comes to like organizing the metadata, translating, which is a whole different beast, as well as print qualities coming from different countries. That was one thing that really, really shocked me. But it was every single thing I took and I like stored in my head safely, and now I have all of this cool information that I can relay to pretty much anyone who asks, which I think is a really, really important skill.
Thanks. Anyone else? Something surprising you learned?
I would say, in a similar sense, like the ebbs and flows of a small business. Like some days are super heavy, some weeks are super heavy, some weeks are much more light, and like some days I'm like working directly with like lighting or with site wall, infinity wall, and some days I'm just not just, but like learning how to put the right nail in the right spot, or what type to put with what canvas, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I was really shocked about the amount of work that a wedding photographer was doing, down to like you can imagine it's a lot of work, but like you go into like the timelines and like the fact that the photographer is genuinely scheduled out your entire wedding day. I was like, oh my god, I did not know that like you were like the second touch person, like, which is really great. And I mean, I'm a little young, I haven't been to too many weddings, so just like seeing the different flow behind the scenes of like how a day goes like on average for a bride, how a day goes on average for the groom is like just an interesting experience, and it definitely made me feel a lot more comfortable like going forward. If I were to ever shoot a wedding, like I kind of have an idea of like what goes on. And it was also really like eye-opening and shocking to see how a photographer running a small business budgets like their time but also their money, and seeing how they charge and what their packages look like, how they brand themselves, and it's honestly just a big overall shock.
Erin, do you want to talk about anything surprising from either of your internships?
Yeah, sure. I would say a big surprise to me was definitely the switch over to working at Card Vault compared to the Museum of Fine Arts. I felt like I went into the museum very, obviously very nervous. Felt like a prestigious place that I didn't belong. I was the youngest person in the room usually. Didn't feel like I could usually speak up, but I got used to it. I got the confidence to kind of start speaking up in meetings and start talking to these well-known curators. And once I went to Card Vault, it was so much more laid back, but also faster at the same time. It almost felt like my boss was like, "Yeah, like I trust you, go for it. Like kind of trust your gut." And it was less guided, and I almost kind of had this precedent in my mind where it was like it should feel like the museum. I'm like, "Oh, where's the guidance? Where's the art pieces guiding my design choices?" And kind of having this fast-paced environment where people are more relaxed and more trustworthy was a really interesting change, and it kind of shocked me and surprised me where it was like, oh, I can kind of make these decisions, like especially like after my brain became wired to the museum system. I was very surprised by the change of pace, definitely. But I would say that's kind of just advertising in general. Advertising is the people act like it's not as serious, but it's a lot faster pace and they expect more out of you, I guess. But that was definitely a big shock to me.
Cool, thank you. I like hearing the contrast between the two because that's kind of a good experience to have is two totally different experiences. So my next question is for Zan and Kylie. You both worked with sort of small businesses. What did you, and I think like, I'm asking this question knowing that many Mass Arts students, when they graduate, may be business owners themselves. So what did you learn that was helpful about working with a small business?
Definitely a lot about budget and how to portion out your time and what's like realistic for a creative to be doing, like specifically a photographer, like budgeting your time and your money is it's a lot of like up in the air stuff. And so like I know that looking to the future, like before this internship, I was kind of like, oh my God, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I don't know how to do this. And it's not something that a lot of people really teach you. So like having a small business where it is so small and you can like genuinely see like each transaction making a difference and each like time saving like move, like I'm gonna invest in like editing software, I'm gonna invest in someone else to cull my images for me, like things like that like can really speed up the process. And it might seem like a big buy, but it like budgeting out what's worth it and what's not was like such a like helpful thing to see and like kind of empowering that like you can do this and it will work out and it's gonna be all right. It's just like taking the extra time and like the extra steps to like kind of calculate everything and be a nerd about it.
I would personally say that what I was so amazed by was like the leadership, like the four people, like co-directing, co-owning the space, and everybody gets to bring their own talents to the table equally. Then you get to mix them up, and then you bring in really the network like from each person, and it's one of my mentors, she was telling me like the saying like, oh, like your network is your net worth, or your net worth is your network, something like that. And I'm just like, okay, what I see guys like in smaller terms is just who's gonna be your friend, who's gonna show up for you, and like who's gonna want to keep collaborating and bring in their own friends to collaborate and so on, and just like that community expansion, like keep moving outward, keep moving, bringing people in, even from different states sometimes, and that was pretty awesome.
Also, do you want to just say like seeing a small business like move into branding as well, like and how they brand themselves as like an individual, like a singular human becoming a brand, and like how to make your work represent, like how to make your brand represent your work was also like very helpful, like on a small business level, because it's not so huge, it's not so much to account for it, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think it was about like those weekly meetings, monthly meetings, like talking about like what's happening now, where do we like go from there, and like there's like an intern, there's a full-on apprentice, like there's 4 people running the space, but it's also a place where people can like run their own events, and so you have to manage those people as well, and it was a lot to see that happening. Like the collaboration was just so important.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask one more question and then open it up to the audience for any questions. So my last question is for each of you. If you were to go look for another internship or a job, kind of build on your past experience, how would you do that? What would you want to do? Just kind of like thinking forward. We can start with Erin.
Yeah, so I would definitely say my experience at the Museum of Fine Arts definitely has guided a lot of my career plans, at least regarding like a genuine area or like kind of guide for me. I really like brand storytelling and kind of like being able to tell a story within visuals and in being able to do that as a graphic designer and kind of almost as like a narrative. And the museum kind of taught me how to like kind of slow down and be a little bit more conceptual with my work. It was very critique oriented. It was kind of based on me to kind of guide the work, guide the viewer through the art pieces, and being able to find those little connections between the works and be inspired by the actual works in the gallery to create a brand system has taught me that in the future I definitely want to be working with brand systems and in storytelling in general. And I would say that for me, it definitely just made me more confident when it became to applying myself into these spaces, like being in a room with one other curator that has been working in a museum for 50 years, and I was 19 at the time, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, hey, do you like this or this? And she's like, ooh, I hate both of them. And it's like just being able to kind of be in those situations and kind of stick to your gut and kind of go for it. And it allowed me to be a little bit more confident when applying myself into these spaces. And yeah, for the simple answer, definitely want to get into like branding and conceptual storytelling for companies.
Yeah.
I think for me going forward, my heart is telling me that I want to go towards more the artistic route. As an illustration major, my primary goal is to become a children's book illustrator. But now, actually being on the inside of the company part of the creation of children's books, I really am fascinated with the role of the art director, and I would not be opposed at all to going towards an art director role, and specifically, I think being an understudy almost, rather than an intern to an art director would be a lot of fun. But yeah.
I see myself like taking a pause, I would say, and building up my like tool belt of skills. And I'm doing so through the sim major, and through just like doing my own organizing. What I want to do is community building and like directing, creative directing. So I'm gonna focus on creating my own events and then putting that out to people. I hope to invite you guys soon. And I want to do this like on a small level, and then I want to do it like by finding places like organizations in Boston, Lawrence that whether it be gallery spaces or event spaces or social organizing places. I want to be able to collaborate, take over the space, invite people there, and like just have a gathering of friends. Yeah, everywhere.
Continuing on, wedding photography definitely like is something that like I do consider, especially while I'm like in the area. I know that I can reach out to Jess, ask her if she needs any help like in the upcoming season with second shooting. Like she's seen all of my work now as a third shooter, as a lead shooter in a couple of shoots, and it's like she's told me she has no problem hiring me back as like a second shooter and would actually, you know, hire me less than more than an intern. But there's also people that second shot for her all throughout the wedding season that I worked with her during that like, and nothing on her, but like I feel like I resonate a little bit more with some of their work and like the way that they take images. So reaching out to them and seeing like if we can have conversations about like both of our bodies of work, but also like, are you looking to hire somebody? Would you want me as your second shooter? Like, do you kind of like jive with my style of imagery? And just using this like little network that she's kind of introduced me to kind of start building my own.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like just like finding the people that are right for you, not just like that in my personal like goal is just like if I do 100 people, they all have to like be in the bucket like around what I want. And I think building up like all of us are like building up our portfolios little by little as we go. And I think then that'll bring us to like bigger, like fishing nets.
And yeah, to sort of piggyback off of that, I think one of the most important things while you're doing all of this is to have fun. If you are in an internship that's not fun, that's not fulfilling to you, it can be challenging, it can be difficult, but it has to be a fun challenge. You have to still have your passion close to your heart. And if you lose your passion close to your heart, or if you lose it at all, that's not a good thing, and that's a sign that you should get out of there.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to open this up for questions from the audience, either online or here. Does anyone have questions? Okay, we'll go with you first.
So you guys talked a lot about submitting your portfolio to the places you apply to. How exactly do you do that? Like, do you send them like a website, Google Drive, like PDFs? Like, what's the best way to like get your portfolio to their screen?
That's a really good question. Honestly, from the experiences I've had, it varies depending on of course, I've only submitted it to publishers. It varies depending on the publisher. Some of them do ask for PDFs in an email. Some of them do ask for a zipped document in the email. Some of them only ask for a portfolio website. It really can vary, and it is definitely helpful to ask what their preferred method of submission is.
Yeah, I think it's kind of definitely like a case-by-case scenario. Like, definitely really look for, if they're asking you for something, do exactly what they're asking you for. But another great little trick too, like even when I first reached out to Jess and didn't attach any images or anything, in my email signature is my website link, is my Instagram photography link, is my phone number even. And like I even have like Massachusetts College of Art and Design, like year of graduate, like just putting that in there, so like if they see it and they get a little curious and they click on it, go you, they were looking at your portfolio, they made it, like, and you didn't even have to send it to them yet. So then you can send them, they can see an overall breadth of your work, and then you can send them specialized, like to that position, to that job, whatever it is, you can kind of specialize and tailor it, like the specific portfolio you send.
Thanks.
I would say, like similarly, like build curiosity, like in person, like if I'm talking, like at a random place where I'm meeting people, like I'm not just gonna talk about like myself, like hey, here's my resume, please hire me, like if I'm desperate, sometimes. But most of the times it's really just about getting to know people, like getting curious, like are we compatible like on a human level, and sometimes if I'll carry like a business card, I think like that's helpful, even if it's like a crappy one. Like if I just like made it up like right there, I'll just say like, oh, this is my my email, here you go. Or sometimes I'll say, oh, I don't have any business cards left, and they'll be like, oh, what if you put your phone number in my my phone? What if you put your phone number in my phone? And then I'm like, oh yes, thank you so much. Now I'm gonna call you. Now I'm gonna like text you right after. Hey, this is Anne, and follow up right away.
That is actually really important. I've been to many conferences that are specifically for children's books, and I have run out of business cards, and I absolutely went with that method, and I did that exact same thing. I gave somebody my phone number, and I was like, here, just take it. Here's my website too. I don't care. Just let's keep in touch, please. It was very much that.
Quick question about business cards. Do your business cards have pictures or portfolio links on them?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely, I have a QR code on mine, just so it just kind of scans right to the website usually. And to answer the person in the audience, definitely just have a PDF and a website. I feel like starting with a PDF and then kind of having that to work off of for a website. It's kind of like a blueprint for the website, but it's a very much a mixed bag when it comes to employers what they want. Some people want a website link, some people want a PDF, some don't even tell you. So it's nice to have both, I would say.
Um, okay, so I know there's a question in the back. Yes. Yes, you.
I was wondering, since we've been talking about portfolio websites, what kind of websites are you using to make them? Is it like, are you starting from scratch? Are you using like a template? Like, how does that process go?
I use Squarespace. I find it to be really user friendly, both on mobile and on desktop. You do have to pay for it. That's like the only downside, but it is fairly cheap, all things considered, if you don't count like the domain name and things like that. But for my website, I use a template. I will say I definitely need to touch up my website. I haven't touched it in a little while, but it is a very, very easy way for you to get into that side of things.
I would say the best thing to do is go to artists that you admire and look at their websites. That is the best thing to do. And then get on Squarespace, or there's a few other providers. I also use Squarespace. And just play around with the template. You don't have to publish it or make it live until you're ready. I would just get in there kind of ASAP and just play around, play with some things for like an hour once a week, like until you get it to a spot where you feel like you can publish it.
Yeah, I use ReadyMag, so it's just another website builder, and definitely start with a template. And you guys made some really good points. Like find an artist you love, find a designer you love, and literally copy their format of their website. They're a popular designer and artist for a reason, and it's not like you have their art up. It's kind of just the structure and the skeleton to hold your work. And if it works for them and you admire it, it would definitely work for you. So definitely using that as a structure is definitely a really good piece of advice.
Could you repeat the name of the website you said? I didn't really hear it. Like what you make your
Yeah,
website
sorry.
on?
Yeah, I use ReadyMag. ReadyMag.
Rain Mag?
Ready, Mag?
Ready Mag?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even if you hate their website, that's also a great thing to notice that you don't like how they designed their website.
For sure, I did the same thing. I like part of it was like looking at how the organization I was working on had their website, how other companies that I really enjoy have a website, other companies that I hate. What do I think about theirs? Or dislike. I really dislike. And I would also say like in Sim, like there's like a lot of people who are into website designing, and they're really happy to just like chat and yap and have some coffee and talk about building websites. And I'm trying to right now learn about. I think I got introduced to one called Carving, but also Squarespace for sure.
That'd be another fun panel idea, just specifically going into and talking about websites.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay, you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering, for this is sort of for Aaron specifically because it's about MFA. I was curious, to someone who has tried and failed to apply for MFA internships in the past, what are they looking for? How do you get in with them?
Yeah, 100%. I would say what they're looking for is a PDF. I brought the PDF to the interview as well. And I would say a big thing that I would say for me is just like be curious about them and be yourself, like you're talking to a person. We're all people, and um, asking a lot of questions to them, kind of interviewing them at the same time and showing your confidence is was felt like a really strong part of my interview. And I would say, yeah, just like that level of curiosity within their craft and their work. Do research on the person interviewing you and kind of just get deep and nerdy with it and just be yourself. Like be as quirky and weird because that's all of us at Mass Art, honestly. And you kind of just have to lean into it and embrace it. And I feel like everybody will kind of see that as passion and appreciate you for it. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Thank you.
Of course.
I
I mean, do you have any like general advice for like cold emailing?
Me or you were asking panelists?
I'm just asking the panelists, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I guess just make it concise and polite. One way that it was described to me was poke the bear, but poke the bear with a 10-foot pole, if you can understand that. I unfortunately, don't have it off the top of my head what I sent to Starbright Books, but essentially what I said was, hey, here's my name, I'm a student at Mass Art, this is my current, I'm a sophomore, and I'm really interested in children's books and children's literature. I saw your company. Do research on the company if you're going towards a company rather than a person. Or even if it's a person, do research on their work. It's like, I've seen your work, I've seen what you're published. Specifically for Starbright, I was like, I love these 3 books. I was wondering if you had any internship opportunities available this summer, this spring, this winter, that you were looking to fill. Either I specifically said either through credit or payment. I didn't say those exact words, but I made it open to them whether or not they wanted to do like an internship for class credit or an internship for a paycheck. They went the class credit route. But yeah, just being polite and being interested and doing your research is really important.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes.
Just going off of that, what did you attach to your emails? Just your resume or also examples of your art?
During my cold email, I apologize, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I don't believe from my cold email I sent anything off the bat. I waited for them to get back to me because I feel like if I'm throwing stuff at their face, that defeats the purpose of poking the bear with a 10-foot pole. Then you're just poking the bear. But again, it's going to be different for everybody. But specifically, I waited for them to get back to me, and they said, yes, we love an internship. Do you think you can send these things? And I believe I sent my resume, my cover letter, and a portfolio to them. And then we continued the conversation.
Yeah, and just honestly, to backpack on that, sorry. I think Kylie, you mentioned it a little bit previously, but like don't put like any of your art like in the first email, kind of be more on a person-to-person basis. But if you sneak in the website link under your tag, like best regards, Aaron, and then I have my website link under there, it proves that they're at least curious. And if they are curious about seeing your work, you give them the option rather than kind of throwing it at them. I feel like being a little like having a little Easter egg at the bottom of the email feels like the most successful thing when you're cold calling like that.
Gotcha.
And some website makers as well do a thing where it's like, how many clicks did your website get? So after you send that email, you can see the number of clicks and be like, they clicked, got them.
I also just want to say, on like sending a cold email, like when you're like kind of debating about what you should say to them, I would definitely treat it as if it were like a cover letter for a job. Like that's the format I use whenever I cold email somebody. It's like, what am I interested in? Like, what's my name? What am I interested in? What position? Why am I interested? And like, why would I be a great fit?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like, you sum that up into like a couple little paragraphs. Like it should be like about a page-ish, a little less. Beautiful.
Yeah, like value their time.
Yeah.
So we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. I just want to check with Meg, are there any online questions?
Nope, not right now.
Okay, so, yes.
For the MFA internship, where did you bring the assistant director out for coffee?
Right over at Tate, right next to the MFA, and I felt like it was just the easy option. I'm not too much of a coffee drinker. I don't like kind of spending money on coffee. I'm more of a water drinker, but when it comes to networking, that's the thing. It's like, let's get a coffee. Let's grab a cup, and then you you offer to pay, you kind of buy that, you pay it forward, and yeah, it was a very on the spot thing. We were supposed to meet at the MFA at the MFA cafe, but I didn't want to be in the museum space, so yeah, it was Tate, which is like a 3-minute walk from the museum, 5 minutes from Mass Art.
I think there was one more question. Yes.
In, this might sound weird, but in terms of timing, how often are internships available? How long might they go for? And how often are they paid? As someone who lives on his own off campus, I have to pay for things, so it's just helpful if there's this like time, like hours spent on that versus like a paid position that I might have to do elsewhere, you know?
So there is like, I forget what it is exactly, I think it's 160
Of hours?
for the hours, like there's
135 hours.
135. So there is like a set number of hours that you will have to do, like to get credit here. But beyond that, it kind of like you gotta talk to your employer. Like I was on for, give or take, like 10, like we'd have a wedding day and it would be like 8 hours, you know, plus drive time, which I got compensated for, which was great, but it wasn't an unpaid position. So like, you know, I'd be doing a wedding and I'd be like, okay, like the rest of the week you can't have me, so sorry. I can do some online work for you, but I would be getting paid at another job, like during the week. And it's like schedule me out, like let me know when you're doing things, I'll let you know when I'm doing things, and it's kind of just like a work in progress, but finding a paid internship is a little difficult. Definitely, they're difficult to find.
They're out there.
They're out
They're definitely out there, and you can make your case. Like you can be honest with them, and you're like, hey, I'm a student. I'm a working student. You can explain your scenario to your comfort level, and be like, I would really prefer a paid internship, but I understand why. Da 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 da. Things like that. That is absolutely okay to do. Just in those beginning stages. For me, I also went the class credit route with Starbright. And that's because in the email they did say like, oh, we're not really offering a paid position right now, we can't afford it. Mind you, Starbright Books is 7 people, 8 people, a very, very small publisher, so I can understand why. But I will also say that I did my work mostly remotely. I only went in office one day out of the week, and the other, I only worked 2 other days virtually. And that was mostly asynchronous as well. Like I'd get an email of like, here's the stuff I have to do today, and they'd maybe call me once throughout the day to be like, hey, how you doing? You know, very, very easy. I also had a job on top of that. That I didn't, I was very particular about not crossing over. So you can discuss hours with them. If it ends up that you don't get a paid internship, you can discuss hours and coincide that maybe with an existing job or a job you're trying to get. Like, I know for me, the job I have over summers usually, it's sort of like a farm stand. They're closed Mondays and Tuesdays. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna work for Starbright Mondays and Tuesdays, and I'm just gonna take one other day off of that job. That's how it worked for me.
I would say that since I work a lot with nonprofits, like smaller ones, I look at like if they have like projects, like offer like, oh, they want me on for this particular project, and they just received a grant from like Boston or something to do this one particular project. So I'll work with them for like that, like fall or something like that, or this summer. And then if they don't have the money to keep me on, then I'll ask them, hey, do you know about another organization that might have another project going on?
Cool. So, I'm conscious of it, oh, yes.
We have one more question, one question here. Is it easier to apply to do an internship, during the school year or over the summer? And how long was the application process?
I guess I'll throw that out there. Was it easier for you to apply for a summer internship or during the school year? And how long was the application process?
For me, it was a little easier during the summer. I only say that because that was the only response I got. But the application process, again, for me, very, very simple, very straightforward, and they were very happy to have the opportunity to host an intern.
I personally.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Erin.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's my Parisian Wi-Fi. So I would say for me, I would definitely try to look for a role in the summer, just kind of having that general focus on having the internship over the summer, not kind of being clouded with your undergrad studies. For me, the MFA internship was over the summer, while the one at Card Vault was during last semester, and I felt like for me, it was a lot. It was a very overwhelming situation to kind of find that balance in between work and my undergrad studies in the spring. So yeah, definitely apply during the school year and do it early, even if you feel like you're like 60% ready. Still kind of fit if you need to apply, apply then. Don't wait on it. Don't self-reject yourself. And yeah, I would definitely look for a summer role though, based off my experience.
Based off my experience, I would say the same. The summer, maybe because we live in New England, and the weather makes people happier. But I've had more luck than statistically. But since I work with like schools or nonprofits, they have a lot of smaller happenings during the school year. So think about that.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, especially if you're gonna take an unpaid position, you need to be paid. Working a job and an internship and still like, having a creative practice and having a life, like that's a lot for one summer, and I think that's enough. Adding on an internship, if you've got like, I don't know, even just a standard course load for a semester is a lot. It's gonna be intense. So I would recommend shooting for summer, or if you have like less classes during a semester and you can budget that time out, I think substituting a class for like an internship would also be great. But I would really not jib yourself on the time and the effort that you get to put into your internship. Like get the most out of it that you can, and if you're juggling too many things, you're not gonna be able to do that.
Well, thank you so much. I think we're at time, but I'm glad you all came. I hope you all got some good takeaways, and I want to thank our panelists for taking time to come and share their experience with everyone. Thank you so much. And then just like a last thing, if you probably all have questions with internships, connect with the Career Development Office. We're here to help you with the process. If you want to learn how to write a cold email, we can help you with wording, we can help you with resumes. So we're here to help as you get started on